could start over, we could start over. Oh, for the lonely, for the ashamed, the misunderstood.
Hey everybody, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's great to be back in Arkansas, back at Rocky Creek Ranch. It's good to see you all here. Hang on, can you all hear me just okay? Just checking in.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey everybody, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's great to be back. Why am I hearing myself again? Because it is me on the YouTube. Hey everybody, there we go. Turn that camera on. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. Hey, listen, it is episode 1334. I'm back from a speaking event, a 2-day speaking event out in Denver, Colorado at Connect 2022. It was an incredible event for contact mapping. There were some world-class, literally world-class, world changers who were on this list. And I got to tell you, if you're not using contactmapping.com, reach out to me or just go to contactmapping.com. It'll be one of those things. I got to put my glasses back on because there's notes over here. So everybody else can hear me. Erica was saying that you can't seem to hear me. Yep, just you. Okay, good. So here we go. Listen up carefully. This one will kind of this one will put some beans in your coffee. In order to learn, in order to lead, you need to activate some genes. There's 20,000 genes that are expressed in our body, 22,000 genes. It depends. But what they found was they thought when we were going to crack the genetic code, there's a kind of it's cousin to a housefly. Cousin to the housefly has 16,000 genes. They thought in order for a fly to have 16,000 genes, we as a human being, we must have hundreds of thousands of genes that are going to need to be activated. Well, or that we have active in our body. Well, we only have about 26,000 genes, right? So let me just make somebody a co-host here. Where is that button at? There it is. And when we do that, when we activate that, what happens is that they found out when they did the genetic code, there's only, again, 20,000 genes. It's not ridiculously more. But here's the thing. What they have found in research, you ready for this? What they have found in research is that there's about 6,000 genes that need to be activated for your best learning. And the way that you activate genes is the thing called epigenetics. Well, how do I know all of this? Well, I've known this for a while and I've studied this, but I haven't studied at the level of the gentleman I stood on stage with. And this gentleman is because of the connection that Tom Chenault has, the patriarch of contact mapping. J.W. Wilson is the world's foremost educator at the Learning Code Institute, wrote a book, a 600-page book on cracking the learning code. So you can only imagine when two misfits of such a unique, finite and infinite topic get together and start having conversations, and everybody else just seems to the picture that just came to me, anybody remember The Simpsons or the Simpson meme where Homer just fades back into the bushes? When JW and I started talking about the hippocampus and the hypothalamus and the amygdala and the reticular activating system and the prefrontal cortex and the interior cingulate, all of these things, everybody started to go, their eyes started to go, wait, what? So him and I had a conversation. We're going to be talking, and there's a chance we may collaborate on a specific learning code for network marketers. And we may create the cracking code for something else. So we'll see that. But you can Google JW, and we're supposed to talk today. My point is this. Learning a script does not activate your learning ability. Here's the thing. How many of you have ever taken classes? How many of you have ever gone to supports? How many of you have gone to trainings and you went into or a class? Some of you may still be in classes. You went into a class in 45 minutes and you went in and then you went to the next one and you kind of forgot everything that happened in the previous class, right? And then you went to the one after that and then you've kind of forgot everything that happened in the previous class, right? Information is necessary. Activation is necessary. Assembly is necessary. And then incubation is necessary. My bride teaches manifesting. And one of the things that happens is that when you study any great discovery that's ever happened. Does anybody know when Einstein discovered E equals MC squared? Do you know what he was doing? You know what activity he was? He wasn't in an activity. He was sleeping. He was taking a nap. Do you know how the sticky note got developed? It was an accident in the 3M lab. And all of a sudden they took it on. They weren't looking for it. When you decide, and I've been teaching this for the whole time, the way I said it, right? In my in my primitive caveman language, I've always described it to people as, do you know when you are on a highway and the highway is jam-packed and you're trying to get into the flow of it, and you're coming on the on-ramp? That's where every one of your ideas are sitting on the on-ramp. The on-ramp is the access to the universal source. And JW talks about it, uses a very nice word called incubation. And when he uses this term called incubation, when you sit on it, right? How many of you ever said, I'm going to sleep on that? Some of you said, I'm going to pray on that. That's the incubation part. Well, that's the challenge that we have with school that doesn't work because anyway, so that's a whole nother story. But when we grasp the idea of activating the genetic necessity, how many of you have ever wanted to learn something, had to learn something, needed to learn something? Your results were all different. When you want to learn something, it seems like you might learn it easier with less effort, more intensity. When you have to learn something, there might seem to be a little resistance. And if you have to learn multiple things, you can't remember everything all at once. There's 6,000 genes that they found that need to be activated to maximize your learning capability. And there is a chemical process. And there is a syntax. Syntax is the order with which you do the recipe, right? So imagine if I put the oven on at 300 and put all of the ingredients in a pan, just put the cup of milk inside the jug, and I put the eggs in still in the shell, and I put and I shoved all that in the oven. No, you've got to mix things particularly. You've got to set things up particularly. And some people get lucky and they hit the target, right? They wind up becoming smart by accident. So I was really excited to learn more about that. I was really excited to have more conversation about that. So leadership requires gene activation. That's a whole nother level of leadership. And here's the thing. It's kind of like the arrow in the FedEx logo. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at the FedEx logo. And if you don't already know where the arrow is in the FedEx logo, if you go look for the FedEx logo and then you see the arrow, miraculously, the arrow that's always been there that you've never seen automatically appears, you cannot ever unsee it. So when you have that conversation with yourself, you've just that's activating a part of your reticular activating system, that what you are always looking for, you will always see. You will always see that information. You will always see the good. You will always see the understanding. You will always have it. When you start to activate genes, Bruce Lipton is kind of the father, what we would call the father of epigenetics. And so Bruce Lipton talks about how you activate epigenetics for your health and for your recovery and for your repair and for your activation of yourself at a higher level. What J.W. Wilson has found, the father of the CEO, CFO of the Learning Institute, the Learning Code Institute, he was influenced by people like Buckminster Fuller and Peter Drucker, and his good friends with Robert Kiyosaki, and just a whole bunch of people that he's worked with, and working on restructuring the way that we the way that we educate ourselves through education. So that was kind of cool. I got to spend some time with him. We're going to collaborate on some ideas, which is kind of cool. And then another amazing soul that was there was Teresa Savadago, and a TEDx talk, over 1 million views, which is, for TEDx, that's a pretty good number. But she talks about having curious conversations. Well, these curious conversations that you can have, the curious conversations that you need, the curious conversations are not what we teach, or not what most people teach inside of our profession. We don't teach curious conversations. We teach it, reach out, see who's ready, see who's in pain, and see if you can serve them. Usually it's not even see if you can serve them, see if you can get them. There's a lot of people hurt, and they need to be in your business. So Teresa is this amazing soul, and I got to share the stage with her, and she's an incredible individual. And these were all first-time meetings. And so Teresa and I fell in love with each other, and we absolutely adore each other. And so we're going to be working on some projects as well. Just an incredible event. And what it was all about is being a connector at a new level. And when you decide you want to become a connector at a new level, here's what everybody in that room, here's what I learned from JW, I learned from Teresa. The DIY method of you building you is a long, hard road. And if you don't have a coach to serve you, and what I'm really talking about is having a mentor. The challenge is that most people get a coach, and a coach will tell them what only the coach needs you to do. See, if I coach you in prospecting, I only need to have you get better in prospecting. If I coach you in public speaking, I only need you to get better in public speaking. If I coach you in algorithm understanding, I only need you to get better in algorithm understanding. If I coach you in timing posts on social media, I only need you to get better at timing your posts on social media. By the time you create the well-rounded, the well-successful, the well-healed you, I don't know if you have enough time on the planet, which is why 98% of the people go to their grave broke, poor, and pass on very little. Today's the day to make a decision. Decide, cut off. Today's the day to make a decision to say, I'm done doing the DIY method. You may have all of the access, you may have all of the information, you got it all, it's on Google. You can, and then there's some other gray websites. It's not the dark websites, but there's other gray websites where you can have access, where people have downloaded stuff, and you can have access to any bit of information on the planet. Do you know why it's not going to sink in? Why it might be a little challenging to allow it to lock in? Do you know why it might be a little different? Do you know why you sit at the cusp, or why you sit at the edge, why you sit at the verge of your success? Because you haven't activated the learning code. You haven't activated the genes that allow you to access that. They know there's 6,000 genes. If they know there is, they know how to turn them on, they know how to turn them off. And you know what marketing does? You know what marketing does? Marketing keeps you from turning those genes on. They teach you to be stronger. I need you to be strong. I need you to do the work. Wallace D. Wattles says in the book, Science of Getting Rich, it's not about doing certain things, it's about doing things in a certain way. And the reason that you're on the edge, the reason that you're at the cusp, the reason you can feel it, taste it, smell it, the reason that it's so close to you is because you haven't done it in a certain way. And you know what I found out this weekend? Is that I've been teaching, maybe by blind, dumb luck. I don't think so, but we'll just say that's why it is, because I'm a farm boy from Ohio, barely made it through high school, drove by a lot of colleges, that all of the things that they were saying to activate, to turn on, to fire up, to unlock, I've been teaching for 20 years. Kind of amazing, kind of cool, kind of fun to know that I was right. When you get confirmation that you were on the right path, how many of you ever started off doing something, said, I'm not quite sure that I'm doing the right thing, and then all of a sudden somebody comes along to validate and vindicate and to let you know, yeah, you've been doing it right. There's a couple of tweaks you could make. There's some polish you could put on that shine. There's some things you could stop doing that would speed up the activity. But here's what I will tell you. If you're going to choose the DIY method of success, boy, let me salute you, because you are working harder than anybody ever thought possible, and you're going to go through more pain than you ever thought possible, and you might get to the end. You might cross over the finish line on the DIY method. What I am suggesting to you that today you got to make a decision that you're going to have all of these goals in this lifetime, not the next. You need to learn that it's not about repeating by rote and understanding. Listen, how many of you studied for a test the night before? How many of you passed the test enough? Maybe you got a B, maybe you got an A, maybe you got a D, and you didn't fail out of the class. But how many of you studied the night before? How many of you remember all of the information necessary that it was to pass that test? How many of you, if you took that test again, if you took the same high school test you took, how many of you would pass it? How many of you, if you took one of your college exams, would you pass it? You'd probably have to study for it. Here's my point. Listen very carefully. Sometimes you have had great success in your sales. Sometimes you've had great success in your business. Sometimes you've had great success in your relationships. You know what the problem was? Is that you knocked it out of the park for one day. You haven't learned how to activate. You haven't learned how to turn that on. You forgot what you knew that worked, and you've been trying to get back into the saddle to find out what works so you could ride this dream and ride that horse and get this thing done and get to the finish line, and you keep missing out on your success. Listen, today is going to come, today is going to go. Tomorrow's going to come, God willing, you're here, tomorrow's going to go. And are you closer to your goal, or are you farther away? Are you more stressed, or are you less stressed? Are you absolutely in lock with where you're going? Do you have somebody that's going to hold you accountable to do the daily task? Because here's the thing, you're going to do some daily tasks today. You're going to do some activities today, and those activities today, will they move the needle, or will they move your spirit? They may move. I was busy today. Busy doesn't get you paid. Busy doesn't take care of the promises you want. Busy doesn't do a damn thing for you. You should never be busy. You should be productive. You should never be busy. You should be proactive. You should never be busy. You should be bountiful. The question now is, what has to change? The question now is, where does the change need to take place? I promise you, a different comp plan isn't going to make it easier for you. A different product isn't going to make it easier for you. A different sponsor isn't going to make it easier for you. A different location isn't going to make it easier for you. Well, if I could just build an international business, I'd be good. The business you need to build is in your heart. The business you need to build is inside you. And when you learn to unlock the code inside of you, see, what I've been doing for 30 plus years is mental profits. Your thoughts create your income. How's your balance statement? I'm not talking about the balance statement finances. I'm talking about you as a holistic being, you as an incredible individual. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to go out and you're going to go do one thing. and you're going to focus on the one thing, and you're going to be myopic in your approach, and you're not going to see the global ripple effect that's happening because of that one decision. I'm going to encourage you to begin to play it a little deeper. I'm going to encourage you to play a little bit stronger. I'm going to encourage you to play a little bit louder than you've ever played before. If all of us, drop a C in the chat if all of us need more customers. Drop a C in the chat if all of us need more customers. Drop a B in the chat if all of us want more business builders. See, we're only responsible for doing two things: finding customers and building leaders. Here's the challenge. The most people, 98% of the people who do not ever get a check in this business, who are business builders, who say they joined for the business, they joined for the income. Not talking about customers. The only way a business grows is by somebody recruiting. Follow me on this. So I got to share the stage, and I got to spend some pretty cool one-on-one time with Richard Bliss Brook and Jordan Adler. They were both at the event. We sat outside the hotel in the evening, and Jordan has some beach money cigars that are kind of cool. And so we sat outside the hotel till about 1:30 in the morning, talking, chatting, and understanding. And listen, so Jordan's 30 years, 20 plus years in the profession, and Richard's 40 years in the profession. I'm 20 years in the profession. So 80 years of experience sitting around this table as we had some glasses of wine. And Richard said, the only way any company grows is because you recruit. Somebody's got to be recruiting. Listen, if you did a report and ran some stats, how many of your customers enrolled another customer? The number would be very, 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 very small. So this business is about building a business. Listen, you only got to do two things. Your company pays you for two things: customers and business builders. The reason that you don't have business builders is because you might lack the understanding of what it takes to activate the genes for somebody to learn how to build a business. You know how to build a business, but the way you build a business is different than the way somebody else wants to build a business. And the reason that you finally find somebody who wants to build the way you want to build is because when you find that person, they're one of the people who are like you, of the four personalities, right? You know, there's four kinds of personalities. There's four kinds of personalities, right? There's kind of the engineer one. There's the out loud one who's really not that detailed specific. Who could that be? Then there's the one who I just want to help. I just want to help. I just want to help. And then there's there's the engineer. There's the out loud. There's the one I want to help. And then there's the other one. Listen, just show me the facts. Just show me the facts. That's all. So you got these four kinds of people, and you can't speak their language. You don't speak their language. And if you don't speak their language, they never understand how to build a business. Listen, I promise you, there are people who have joined me in business, and I have blown them out of the water because they're like, what the hell? I'll never do what he does. That's so good. If anybody's ever said to you after an event, if anybody's ever said to this after you've walked off the stage, oh my God, that was so amazing, I could never do that. Your business will die. Your business will, especially if they were in your organization, your business is on its death march. Why? Because you didn't speak their language. And you wonder why you struggle. See, when you understand there's four kinds of personalities, four ways to develop language to have a conversation with somebody, and if you don't know who you're speaking to, you have a 75% chance you're not speaking to the person who speaks your language. So then what do you think the chances are that you're going to activate any of their learning code to learn how to become a business builder? So what do? You just keep pushing, you just keep talking. And then it's kind of like anybody here speak a foreign language, then somebody who doesn't speak your language, what do they typically do when they want to talk to you? Hi, how are you? They speak louder, like that's going to make a difference. So what do we do in our profession? We push harder. We speak louder. We tell people, here's how we speak louder in network marketing. You ready to learn how we speak louder in network marketing? We say, you need to be at the event. Maybe events scare the living bejeebies out of them. You need to talk to more people. Maybe public speaking scares the bejeebies out of them. You need to be prospecting more and DMing. You need to DM, add tag message. You need to add tag and message people. Maybe add tagging and message scares the hell out of them. So you keep talking to the language that they can't hear. You keep telling them how bad they are. Well, I'm not saying how bad they are. I'm giving them ideas on what to do. Yes, but they don't hear that they can learn that. They hear that they don't learn that. So therefore they feel they're not good enough. And they disappear into the world. They join another company. Or you see them join somebody else in the organization, and they seem to like light it up on fire. So I got to ask you, there's a winter coming. Tony Robbins talks about the economic winter. You're starting to see some things. If you listen to Robert Kiyosaki, you listen to some of these thought leaders, they all seem to be starting to sing from the same hymnal about some challenges going to happen in our economy. Some of you may have already seen it. Some of you may already have a good clue of it. Some of you may be part of an industry that sees the leading economic indicators that say there's a winter coming. There's some challenges coming. And here's the thing. The only way you're going to prepare for it, the only way you can prepare for it is to do one of two things. This is the only way you can prepare for your future. In an unstable economy and an unknown outcome, only two ways. This is going to hurt. And if you're not ready for it, go ahead and jump off the call, hit the end button, because you may not want to hear this. Because what I'm going to tell you is a reality. And if you choose one of them, that'll make it easier for you to deal with what's coming. If you choose the other one, you're going to have to go through some learning. You're going to have to get tuned up, and you're going to have to get fired up real quick. You're going to have to learn some real deep conversations, and you're going to have to do things you've never done before. I had a conversation with JW, and I said, JW, answer me this. We know all of the science behind this. We understand all of the concepts behind it. And with the two decisions people have to make in the coming months, days would be better, but in the coming months, the two decisions that they have to make, they want to have something they've never had before. And I was asking an audience in a VIP mastermind. We had the event on Saturday. Sunday was a VIP mastermind, and there was 55 people there. And I said, how many of you want something you've never had before? Isn't that what a goal is? Isn't that what a desire is? Isn't that what our dream is? I'll ask you, drop a 1 in the chat if you want something you've never had before. Now, if you want something you've never had before, pay attention to this common sense. If you want something you've never had before, you are going to have to do something you've never done before. I mean, that would make sense, wouldn't it? If you're going to go after something you've never had, you got to do something different. Doing things the same way is what? Insanity. So now we've got two things. We got to do something. We want something we've never had before. We got to do something we've never done before. Well, how many of us are comfortable with doing something we've never done before? Not a bunch. All right, so maybe the next part will make it easier. Maybe the next part will make the doing a little easier. So I want something I've never had before. I got to do something I've never done before, which means I have to think a way I've never thought before. So if I got to do something I've never done before, I got to think a way I've never thought before. How many of you are thinkers? Well, let me let you in on the clue. Here's the numbers. 1% of the population think. 2% think they think. So that means 99% of the population are not thinking. I'm gonna hope you're in the 1%, but maybe not. I'm gonna hope that you can access the 1%, and the answer to that is yes. You just have to learn how to think. Now, wait a minute. So Sean, wait a minute. So I got to do something I've never done before. I got to think a way I've never thought before. But here's the kicker. Here's the one that this should make it real easy. This should make it real easy. Here's the one. If you could get to this third one, it'll make the one of the two decisions that you have available to you should make it real easy. Here, you ready for it? If I got to do something I've never done, think a way I've never thought, it'll make me feel a way I've never felt before. So if I got to feel a way I've never felt before, to think a way I've never thought before, to do things I've never done before, to have things I've never had before, do you realize that's a freaking perfect storm for disaster and for procrastination and for perfectionism and for delay and for wanting to buy one more book and wanting to buy one more training and wanting to go to one more event and wanting to join a different company and wanting to sponsor more people and never following up? Those four things will crush you, or you will crush it. So how's it working, the DIY method, the do-it-yourself method of success? You want something you've never done before. You've got to think a way you've never thought before, which causes you to feel a way you've never felt before, so you can do things you've never done before, to have things you've never had before. Do you realize, you see where this isn't about learning a script? Because I can give you the perfect script. I can give you the perfect language. Hell, I give you the three best questions you could ever ask anybody, period. End of story. Bar none. The three best questions you could ever ask anybody. Do I have your permission to help? Permission to make you feel uncomfortable? Permission to take you out of that uncomfortable feeling? If you ask somebody those three questions, you can have a conversation about anything. But you won't use it. Why? Because it makes you human. You won't use it because that's something different. That'll get me things I've never had before. But it makes me feel so uncomfortable. Can I really ask those questions? Let me ask you, do you really want your dreams? The challenge is that you may be great at a comp plan, but are you a compatible conversation? You may be great at dealing with a compensation plan and the 17 levels it pays out. Do you understand the 7 levels of opening up a human to their dreams? See, you know all the logic stuff. How's that working for you? You have all of this brain stuff up here, but the reason that it might be difficult for you to build a business is you're not sponsoring their body. When you understand how human nature works and how decision-making is made in the body, how many of you I follow my gut feeling? You're not making your decision in a brain. You're making a decision in the gut. How many of your people wind up in trauma because of the way you have a conversation with them? Do you make enough money? You keep them so far below the line of their life that they don't even want to talk to you anymore. It doesn't matter how much money they could make. Doesn't matter how well the product could make them. Doesn't matter how incredibly the science or the FDA studies or this, that, or the other. It just doesn't matter. When you get them below the line, if you get them below the line of their life and you stick them there, just like everybody else has in their conversations and in their presentations and in the way they grew up in life and the way people embarrassed them. Good luck in your journey. It might just be better to go back to work, because this is understanding human people. This is understanding human nature. Oh, it's easy to do. It's easy to understand human nature when you have people who have cracked the code, but your thinking won't let you. Your feeling won't let you. Your doing won't let you. So therefore, the things that you want can't come to you. I want to know when you want to change that. I dare you to live your dreams. I double dog dare you to live your dreams. I just got to ask you, are you ready? Because you going to do what you did yesterday might give you some incremental growth. It was the weekend. Most people take off the weekend. I love the weekends because that's when I can kick ass and I can lap people who are laying on a couch. I can lap people and I can triple my success capability by working on the weekends, doing what I love. There's a gentleman that's on the VIP call. He's driving right now. In the last 48 hours, 72 hours, he's probably driven 30 of those 72 hours to get to an event and get back home. How many of you would drive 18 hours one way to get to an event, spend all day, rest that night, get up, go to a mastermind the next day, and then at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, start an 18-hour drive home so he could be back to work on Monday? Yeah, that's nuts. But that's Chad Williams. How important are your dreams, ladies and gentlemen? How important is it for you to finally unlock your learning code? How important is it for you to finally unlock your ability to have curious conversations? How important is it for you to wake yourself up so that you know this week you are taking quantum leaps towards your success? Here's the challenge. Too many of you are okay with incremental growth, and that's okay. But you keep talking and saying you want quantum leaps, and you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and you do a little tweak, and that makes you feel uncomfortable, and then you complain, and then you go back to your old story. Well, listen, that time is over. That time is done. Today, draw a line in the sand and say, today is the day I decide I will have more. Today is the day I will learn how to do things in a certain way. And here's the thing. If you go back and you watch old stories and you use the same language as yesterday, you are back in pattern. I promise you, this is good. What this does to you at an internal level is when you finally awaken, you will do less and have so much more. Some of you are so busy, you can't even take time out to take time out. That's not a good success model. If you keep doing what you've done, if you have to do 10x of what you did last week, is that going to get you where you need to go? If you did 10 times the effort that you did last week, is that going to get you there? And if the answer is no, it's not because it's up here. It's because it's in your body. You have to activate certain parts of your learning capability and capacity. You have, and here's the other thing. When you understand that, when you are in alignment with another person, when you are in alignment with a room, you activate the interior cingulate. And what that does is that sends off a vibration into the world that all of a sudden you start to pull the power from the other people and it changes the positivity. Well, that sounds a little wooey, Sean. Well, let me tell you a little story about the Hadron Collider. The Hadron Collider that's in Sweden where they crash and they're looking for the boson particle, which they found. They couldn't figure out why it would work sometimes and why it wouldn't work. It's millions of dollars to run each test, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. Well, they found out that when 51% or more of the people believed it would work, the interior cingulate activated. The damn exercise, the damn experiment worked. And if 51% believed it didn't work, it wouldn't work. So they changed the methodology of the people who are employed there. Let me ask you, are there some people in your business who don't believe your business works? Are there some people who are feeding into your energy that that's a stupid thing to do? Well, their interior cingulate is activating a universal code that's activating the code in you that says, I'm not good enough. It's happening at a subconscious and an unconscious level. You just think that getting stronger is going to fix it. It won't. It won't. It's like trying to stand in front of a dam that's burst and you're going to stop the water. I don't care how strong you are. The water has more power. I don't care how strong you are. Your doubts have more power. I don't care how strong you are. Your faith isn't strong enough. I don't care how strong you are. Your old story has more power. And when you finally come around to say, all right, I need to rewire my old story. I did a rewire with an amazing soul, Stacy, standing there at the dining room table in about 15 minutes. She said, I've never had that freedom. I physically feel this. And for those of you that are energetic and level, she's been doing energy work for years because we went back to an in-womb challenge. Before she even made it into the physical side, we went back totally to the energetic side. And we had a healing. I watched her body literally morph as we were having that conversation. So that when you decide that I'm no longer going to carry around that pain, I no longer need to have that pain limit me, hold my beliefs back. I want to do a rewire. I want to have a conversation. Let me ask you, what would it be worth? What would it be worth if that old story no longer controlled you? And listen, if you're still limping along on your goals for success, you have an old story that's holding you back. And until your ego lets you decide that you're going to be vulnerable enough to deal with that, you will struggle like the other 98% of the population for the rest of your life. How long do you want the struggle? What would it be worth to say, I'm finally done with that? You got to ask yourself that question. If you want the answers to that, we should have a conversation. I'm very good at that. Helping people unlock, to have the freedom to finally say, I'm worthy of my income. To run around and going, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to create a 6-figure monthly income. That is not doing you a damn bit of good, because the belief that's behind that, the interior cingulate, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, the amygdala that gets fired up, you say the words and it doesn't even feel real, and you get stuck and you keep building that wall between you and your success, one statement, one sticky note at a time, one entry journal at a time, and you wonder why you need to make a change. And you think changing on the outside is going to do it. This change has to happen on the inside. And when you're ready for that, you'll reach out. Understand you have to activate certain parts of your capability and capacity. Literally activate and turn on the genes in your body that allow you to learn leadership. And when you do that, life gets a whole hell of a lot more fun. So reach out. Let's activate your leadership genes. Oh, there's a fee for that. There's a fee for that. Just this isn't hey, listen, okay, I heard you on the call. You gotta find out, what is it going to be worth to you? Because I can promise you, whatever it is I charge, if it seems big, if it seems astronomical, if it seems crazy, then your dreams are too small. If you're going to make a 6-figure a month income, that's what you keep telling everybody, then what is 1 month fee to do that? It is nowhere near that. I'm just saying you need to wake up and you need to have a level of conscious awareness that every day you miss, if you want to make $1 million a year and you're going to be alive for the next 20 years, do you realize that if you don't do it this year, you just gave away $1 million, $101.2 million. If you want to make $10,000 a month, this is $100,000. This is $1 million decision that you're waiting on making. And if that activates and that gets your blood all boiling, going, oh, it's always about the money, then you've got to work on that too. That might be a reason why you are a little bit behind on your promises. Reach out to me. Have a conversation. Let's unlock that part of you. Let's unlock that leadership in a global capacity so you can truly have more of what you want, less of what you don't. I am your head brain training misfit, live back at Rocky Creek Ranch. Good morning, Seamus. How you doing there, buddy? I will see you all where? At the next event. Till then, bye for now. And YouTube folks, I love you tons. I appreciate you. Have an amazing day. I am your head brain training misfit. This conversation powered by ketones. Ketones help you improve your memory, improve your muscle, and give you amazing fuel for your brain.